Welcome back, listeners, to another episode of Sip and Streamline. With your co-host today, myself, Isabella Tedisco, and Pat Peterson here. Today, we're going to be divulging in the world of Microsoft Teams Premium. So it's so awesome to get to talk to you, Pat, about this. I'm excited to learn some more about it. But wanted to start off with announcing our sip of the day. If you want to start us off here.
Yeah, absolutely. So today I am enjoying a Waterloo Summer Berry. It's a refreshing flavor and hoping to bring a little bit of summer to our lives here on this spring day. What about you?
So I have a homemade iced coffee with a cup that says always learning, which I think is very fitting for today's discussion. As I said, I'm very excited to dive in here. So let's get to it. So in terms of Microsoft Teams Premium, Pat, I've heard it be, a real big game changer in terms of the realm of virtual collaboration. Can you give a brief overview for our listeners about what Microsoft Teams Premium is?
Yeah, so Teams Premium in my mind is one of those product SKUs that's not widely known. And so Teams Premium has a handful of different features and options that come with it. It's not just one product. So it has some advanced security options, some additional AI portions with Teams meetings, some personalization functionality, as well as virtual appointments. So one of the key items that I think is important is the ability for advanced meeting protection. So imagine having a meeting where you're sharing plans for a new acquisition and you want to put a watermark over the content that's shared. So if somebody snaps a picture or takes a screenshot, it knows where it came from. And so that's one of the features you get with Teams Premium.
Yeah, no, that sounds really impressive. I really like the AI note-taking side of things, specifically for understanding who said what and when, and just being able to kind of audit that if somebody can't be a part of a meeting, being able to share that out with the rest of the group here. When it comes to, specific features of Microsoft Teams Premium, can you kind of expand on some of the really standout ones that you see with organizations?
So going to what you just mentioned about the AI features for it, Teams Premium comes with that intelligent meeting recap, which oftentimes organizations, when they're adopting Copilot, that's the feature that stands out to them. They want to make sure that their project managers can summarize calls more efficiently, effectively. They want to make sure their salespeople are not having to retype or re-enter information. They want to be able to just take that and transfer that over a lot more efficiently. So the intelligent recap is certainly one of those elements. It is a crossover with Copilot. So again, if you're after that feature, Teams Premium is a little bit less expensive than Copilot overall. But in addition to that, when we talk about some of the branding possibilities, one of the common feedback that I've received on Teams in the last 6 years or so has been, how do I change the experience of someone waiting to get into a meeting? Right now, for those of you that have been in a Teams meeting, it's a pretty generic or boring lobby. Organizations now have the ability with Teams Premium to put in a background, to actually change the logo, update the color, provide an ability for actually people to interact with chat prior to joining the lobby. So imagine you no longer have to sit there and be like, am I on the right spot? Is somebody going to come let me in? You can actually, potentially send a chat message and say, hey, I'm running late. We'll admit you in a moment. The other piece that comes with from a security and compliance perspective is the ability for you to actually set up different meeting templates. So you could say, hey, when Isabella creates a meeting, she should have an option to create a record meeting. So when she schedules that with that template, that meeting's always going to be recorded. Or in the other way, you could set up a specific one that says, hey, when I schedule one, I don't want to have a meeting lobby available. So instead of having the one size fits all type of model, you can get really granular with some of the policies that come from it.
No, that's really interesting. I really like the component of that brand piece, kind of being able to customize specifically, whether it's the lobby or, understanding who exactly is doing what from a meeting template perspective is super, super beneficial. And I can see a lot of organizations wanting to use that. And when we talk about, different organizations using it, when you think about industries that could really benefit from utilizing Microsoft Teams Premium, what kind of comes to mind there?
The first one that comes to mind is on the healthcare side. Obviously, security is important, and making sure that those telehealth visits that we've all come a little accustomed to are in a secure manner, and somebody's not going to, come in and join a meeting for it. So you have meeting or lobbies rather that help with that, but certainly just the ability to make that, a little bit more secure. The other item on the healthcare side that comes to mind, and really it's any industry at that point, is the ability for the Teams Queues app. So when we think about Teams voice, obviously end user voice, being able to dial and receive phone calls, with your phone number. Teams Queues is an application that's available with Teams Premium that can actually allow for supervisors or managers of different departments to see who's answering that call. How long are people on the call for? When is the most popular time of the day? So it gives you some of that reporting where they, might have to rely on IT help for that as well. So we see healthcare pick up heavily in on utilizing that feature, just so because there's a little more data that's surfaceable to a non-IT admin for it.
Mm-hmm. No, that's amazing. I can see it being really helpful too from, the education space. We've seen a lot with, virtual learning and classrooms from that aspect. So kind of, customizing that experience to be a bit more engaging, monitoring participation as well from the different students and educative spaces, I think would be really beneficial. And in terms of, we've touched on a lot of different features of Microsoft Teams Premium, but anything else kind of come to mind in terms of really standout features or just from a virtual collaboration perspective, why use Microsoft Teams Premium?
Yeah, another one that is important to me is virtual appointments. So when we think about appointments, you have tools like Bookings, which we could probably do a talk on Bookings in the future, as well as Calendly and other tools that help with scheduling of meetings. That's a pre-scheduled meeting. But what if I just need an appointment or just need to walk in the moment? When we think about that, I always like to think of financial institutions. When you walk in, you're generally greeted by a line of tellers that are ready to help you with that. Well, imagine taking that in a virtual aspect of it where now you can, have it be available where the public can come and select what they need help with, pick which date or time if they want to schedule that, or there's virtual ones available. When they join that, it then alerts your employees to say, hey, there's someone waiting in the lobby to talk about a loan for a car. And just like that, they're now connected and you're able to have that, face-to-face conversation, which can be a little bit more intimate than just calling in, right? So I think that's a key there is if you need to share your screen, pass documents back and forth, the virtual appointment experience is really valuable. Again, we've seen that across multiple industries. I think healthcare is probably the one that, we saw that grow the most over the last 5 years, but we're starting to see other industries like financial services take advantage of that too. So that's probably the one that I think is important because you can't be everywhere and certainly you have those specialty areas. And so that's where those virtual appointments can help out.
Yeah, no, that's great. I could see that being very, very useful from just an organization perspective too, managing all of those different appointments, understanding who came in and when, just kind of keeping an audit history of those appointments in general. Before we wrap up, I kind of want to segue back to our Microsoft Syntax chat where we talked about, some of the funny remarks or notes from utilizing AI. So when it comes to the AI portion of the meeting recap, have you seen anything funny there in terms of things that AI has pulled?
Just the fact that AI is always listening. And so if you have side conversations or in one example where a colleague went on a rant about their pet knocking over something in the house, certainly that was one that I think is funny because it gave everyone a little bit of a laugh saying, hey, AI is always listening. It did show up in the notes that this person needed to, fix whatever happened there. But at the end of it, what it was really refreshing is that AI is really good, but it doesn't know what's important and what's not important. And so I think that's kind of a key takeaway there.
Yeah, still needing to kind of sift through the notes that AI pulls and kind of filter out what is real or, the reality of the situation and what is not, I think is helpful there. Well, I really enjoyed this conversation, kind of learning a little bit more about Microsoft Teams Premium. We'll include some more information here in the caption surrounding licensing, how to learn more about it. And we'll tune into kind of our next episode where we'll probably dive into something awesome in the Microsoft 365 ecosystem. So until then, cheers to Microsoft Teams Premium.
Cheers.